It was supposed to be the most beautiful day of her life. The sun poured through the tall stained-glass windows of St. Matthew's Church in downtown Seattle, painting the floor with soft colors of rose and gold. The organ played softly as hundreds of guests stood, turning to admire the bride, Olivia Bennet. 27, graceful, kind-eyed, and trembling slightly as she walked down the aisle. Her dress shimmered, not because it was expensive, but because it reflected a dream she'd built for years. A dream that started the day she met Ethan Cole, the charming, brilliant, and ambitious billionaire who had promised her forever. Every camera was on her. Every whisper spoke of envy. Olivia, the sweet girl from a working-class family, was marrying the most eligible CEO in Seattle. She smiled nervously as she reached the altar. Ethan looked breathtaking, tall, poised, but strangely tense. Their eyes met, and for a moment, she thought she saw fear behind his smile. The priest began the ceremony, and when he reached the familiar words, "Do you, Ethan Cole, take Olivia Bennet to be your lawfully wedded wife?" The air grew heavy. Ethan didn't respond. His eyes darted toward the back of the church, then to the floor, then to her. Seconds passed like hours. The priest repeated the question gently, "Mr. Cole." And then, Ethan's voice broke the silence. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I can't do this." The words echoed through the cathedral like a thunderclap. Gasps rippled through the audience. Someone dropped a phone. A reporter's flash went off. Olivia froze. Her bouquet slipped from her trembling hands, petals scattering across the floor. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice shaking. "What are you saying?" He stepped back, his face pale. "I'm sorry," he repeated, turning away. "I can't explain, not now." And just like that, he walked down the aisle, away from her, away from the altar, away from everything they'd built. The church erupted into whispers. Did he just leave her? What happened? Is this real? Olivia stood there, still and hollow, as if her heart had stopped beating. Tears streamed silently down her cheeks. The priest tried to comfort her, but she couldn't hear him. The world around her faded into a blur of confusion and humiliation. Outside, paparazzi swarmed, flashing cameras capturing her heartbreak, the tears, the disbelief, the collapse of her fairy tale. By the next morning, headlines covered every news site and gossip blog. Billionaire CEO leaves bride at the altar. From dream wedding to public disaster. Who really is Olivia Bennet? Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends, journalists, even strangers, everyone wanted to know what went wrong. But Olivia had no answers. She didn't even have a reason. Days passed in a blur. The grand penthouse she once shared with Ethan felt cold and foreign. Every corner carried his memory, the scent of his cologne, the echo of his laughter, the vision of the life they planned. Finally, she packed her things into boxes and left it all behind. The wedding dress, the photographs, the future that never happened. She moved back into her small, cozy apartment downtown, the one-bedroom space she had before Ethan entered her world. There, surrounded by silence, she stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were tired, but beneath the sadness, something else lingered, strength. She whispered to herself, "I'll be fine. I have to be fine." But deep down, she wasn't sure if she believed it. Still, she held on to one thing, her kindness. Even in heartbreak, she refused to turn bitter. She kept her teaching job at a local art center for kids, quietly painting over her pain with a smile. No one knew what she was going through, and she liked it that way. Because what Olivia didn't know was that her story wasn't over. In fact, the very person who broke her heart was about to reappear in the most unexpected way. And it would all begin with a little girl's hug. Days had turned into weeks since the wedding disaster, yet the pain still felt fresh for Olivia Bennet. She had stopped checking her phone, stopped reading the headlines, and stopped believing in second chances. That morning, she decided to do something she hadn't done in a long time. Go outside, just to breathe. Seattle's autumn breeze carried the scent of rain and distant coffee shops. She wore her old jeans, a gray sweater, and sunglasses large enough to hide the traces of sleepless nights. The park was quiet, filled with families, laughter, and the sounds of children chasing one another across the open field. For the first time in weeks, Olivia allowed herself to smile faintly. But just as she was about to sit on a bench, she heard soft crying, a child's voice, fragile and scared. Turning around, she saw a little girl, no older than 6, running toward her with tears streaming down her cheeks. Before Olivia could react, the child threw her small arms around her waist, holding on as if her life depended on it. "Mommy," she sobbed. "Mommy, I found you." Olivia froze. She knelt down gently, trying to calm the girl. "Sweetheart, I think you've made a mistake." "I'm not." The little girl looked up through wet lashes, and for a second, Olivia's heart skipped. Those eyes, deep hazel, soft yet powerful, looked almost identical to her own. "No," the girl whispered. "You are my mom. Daddy showed me your picture. You're her." Olivia blinked, speechless. "Your daddy showed you my picture?" The child nodded quickly. "He said Mommy's gone, but I knew I'd find you." Before Olivia could ask another word, the screech of tires broke the calm. A black luxury car pulled up along the curb, sleek and intimidating. The driver jumped out and opened the door, and from it stepped Ethan Cole. Olivia's heart dropped. He looked frantic, eyes scanning until they landed on the little girl clutching Olivia's arm. "Emma!" he shouted, rushing toward them. "What are you doing? I told you not to run off." The child, Emma, buried her face in Olivia's dress, refusing to let go. "Daddy, I found Mommy. She's right here." Ethan froze mid-step, his expression torn between anger and something else, guilt. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Emma, let go, please." "That's not—" He hesitated, glancing at Olivia. "That's not your mom." Olivia stood slowly, her confusion turning into disbelief. "Ethan, what is this?" He sighed, his face tightening. "I'm sorry. She must have mistaken you for someone else. She's been through a lot." His tone was cold, rehearsed, like a man hiding behind control. He gently pried Emma away, though the girl fought back, crying harder. Olivia knelt one last time, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face. "It's okay, sweetie," she said softly. "Maybe someday you'll tell me why you thought that." Ethan's jaw clenched. "We need to go." He carried Emma to the car, barely looking back. The door slammed. The black car drove off, and Olivia stood there, frozen under the drifting leaves, her mind racing with questions that had no answers. That night, she couldn't sleep. The way Emma looked at her, the way she knew her, kept replaying in her head. And those eyes, they were impossible to forget. The story picks up with Olivia sitting alone in her dimly lit apartment, the only sound being the ticking clock and the faint hum of city traffic outside her window. On her coffee table lies the strange letter, a child's drawing of a woman in a wedding dress holding hands with a little girl. Beneath it, the shaky handwriting reads, "I miss you, Mommy." Her chest tightens. The handwriting looks like it could belong to Emma, the same little girl who hugged her so tightly just days ago. Olivia's mind swirls. Why would Ethan's daughter send this to her? Who even knows where she lives? That night, she can't sleep. She scrolls through old photos on her phone, pictures of her and Ethan smiling, of their engagement party, of plans for the life they were supposed to have. And then, one photo makes her pause. Behind Ethan, barely visible in the reflection of a mirror, stands a woman, unfamiliar, yet somehow familiar. Long brown hair, soft expression. Could that be Lydia Harper? The next morning, Olivia makes a decision. She dresses carefully, not as the broken bride, but as a woman seeking truth. She drives to Cole Technologies, the towering glass building where Ethan rules as CEO. The receptionist freezes when she sees her, the rejected bride, whose name has flooded tabloids. But Olivia's calm voice and unwavering eyes make it clear. She's not here for drama. She's here for answers. Ethan's office is sleek, overlooking the Seattle skyline. When she enters, he's startled. His usual cool confidence flickers. Olivia lays the letter on his desk. "I got this yesterday," she says quietly. "A drawing. From Emma." Ethan's jaw tightens. He picks up the paper, scans it, then sets it down slowly. Emma is imaginative. She misses her mother, Lydia Harper. Olivia crosses her arms. "Lydia Harper? The woman who worked for your company?" "Yes," he replies, eyes darting to his assistant outside the glass wall. She passed away 3 years ago. Emma was her daughter. I adopted her. But Ethan, Olivia's voice softens. Emma said you showed her my picture. She called me Mom. And she. Enough, Olivia. His sudden outburst silences her. His tone sharp, almost panicked. You don't know what you're talking about. Leave Emma out of this. Olivia stares at him, shocked. His coldness feels forced, like a shield hiding something. Why are you lying to me, Ethan? For a moment, the mask slips. His eyes soften, but then his assistant, a nervous young man named Daniel, steps into the room with a folder. Ethan quickly ends the conversation and ushers her out. In the hallway, Olivia catches Daniel glancing at her, anxious, like he wants to say something but can't. She notices a security camera above the doorway blinking red. Later that evening, Olivia sits in her car, parked outside Cole Technologies, watching the building's lights go off one floor at a time. She opens her laptop and begins digging into company records. Employee archives. Lydia Harper's name appears, listed as a research assistant under a secretive biotech division. No death certificate. No obituary. Just employment terminated. Her heartbeat quickens. What if Lydia didn't die? What if something happened inside that company? Something Ethan is covering up. Then, an email notification appears. From unknown sender subject. You're closer than you think. Attached is a photo, a grainy picture of Olivia standing in front of Ethan's building earlier that day. Someone's watching her. Olivia's hands tremble. She looks around the empty street. Every shadow feels alive. She shuts her laptop, her mind racing with questions. Why did Ethan call off the wedding at the very last moment? Why does Emma think she's her mother? And what exactly happened to Lydia Harper, the woman whose life seems to be tangled with hers? Olivia knows one thing for certain. Ethan's story doesn't add up. And the truth, whatever it is buried deep inside his empire. As the camera fades to black, Olivia whispers under her breath, I won't stop until I know why you left me, Ethan. Even if it breaks me. Rain pours over Seattle, the streets glistening under the dim orange glow of streetlights. Olivia's car slows to a stop outside an old brick apartment complex, the last known address of Lydia Harper. Her hands tremble slightly as she holds the piece of paper with the address, the ink smudged from her grip. She steps inside the building. The hallway smells of dust and old memories. Apartment 4B. The nameplate is rusted, but still faintly readable. L. Harper. Olivia's heart beats faster. She turns the knob. The door creaks open. The apartment is abandoned, furniture covered in white sheets, cobwebs stretching across corners. Everything feels frozen in time, as if someone left in a hurry. On the wall, a small framed photo hangs crookedly. A picture of Lydia with a little girl. Emma. Olivia's breath catches. The same soft brown eyes. The same dimpled smile. Just then, a voice behind her startles her. Lydia, is that you? An elderly woman from the neighboring apartment peeks out, holding a basket of laundry. Her eyes squint as she looks closer. Oh my, you look just like her. Olivia forces a shaky smile. I'm Olivia Bennett. I knew Lydia. I'm just looking for answers. The woman sighs, nodding slowly. Sweet girl. She was scared before she left. Said she was being followed. One night, she knocked on my door, handed me a box of her mail, and said, if I don't come back, give this to the woman who looks like me. I never understood what she meant until now. She disappears into her apartment and returns with a small dusty box. She said you'd come one day. Olivia thanks her and drives home through the rain, her mind spinning. That night, under the warm glow of her bedside lamp, Olivia opens the box. Inside, stacks of unopened letters, journals, and a few photographs. The air feels heavy, like the room itself is holding its breath. She picks up the first letter, addressed to her. Dear Olivia, you don't know me, but I've known you for a while. I work for Ethan Cole, and during my time there, I discovered something I shouldn't have. I believe they're experimenting with private medical data, possibly cloning or identity theft for corporate advantage. I think Ethan found out what I knew. If something happens to me, please find my daughter, Emma. She's not safe. Olivia's eyes widen. Her chest tightens. Cloning? Identity theft? It sounds insane, but Lydia's fear leaps off the page, real and raw. She flips through the letters, some half-written, some torn, all addressed to her, as if Lydia had been trying to warn her before she vanished. Then she finds the final, unfinished one, the ink smudged from tears. They know I'm onto them. Ethan isn't who he pretends to be. If I disappear, it means they silenced me. Please, Olivia, protect Emma. She's more connected to you than you realize. Olivia drops the letter. Her heart races. What does that mean, connected to me? She whispers. She starts piecing together the timeline. Lydia vanished just weeks before the wedding. Ethan canceled the ceremony the same week Lydia was reported dead. Coincidence? Impossible. Her laptop lights up as she searches through Lydia's old company ID and project references. One file stands out, Project MMA. Her stomach twists. Could Emma's name come from this project? Was she part of something bigger, something human? And then, Olivia remembers Ethan's assistant, Daniel, glancing nervously at her that day. She decides she has to talk to him, the only person who might know the truth. Before closing the box, Olivia notices something tucked under the letters, a photograph. Ethan, Lydia, and baby Emma, but Lydia isn't smiling. She's crying. The truth begins to unfold, and it's darker than anything Olivia imagined. Ethan didn't just break her heart. He might have destroyed lives to protect his secret. Her whisper breaks the silence. Lydia knew me before I even knew myself, but why? The screen fades to black as suspense rises, Olivia clutching Lydia's final letter, realizing that her connection to Emma might not just be emotional, it might be biological. Olivia sat across from Ethan in the quiet, dimly lit cafe, the rain tapping against the window like a heartbeat. Her hands shook as she placed a stack of Lydia's letters on the table. Ethan, she said, her voice trembling but firm, I need the truth. Now. Ethan froze. His gaze dropped to the table, then back at her, and for a moment, the carefully controlled CEO mask faltered. You don't understand, Olivia, he said, voice low. There are things you weren't meant to know. I've read her letters, Olivia snapped. Lydia knew something about your company. She was scared. And Emma, she thinks I'm her mother. Why? Why did you leave me at the altar? Why lie to me all this time? Ethan's shoulders sagged. He ran a hand through his hair. All right, he whispered. You deserve the truth. Lydia didn't die in that car crash. I faked her death. Olivia blinked. Her mouth went dry. What are you saying? She uncovered corruption ring inside my board of directors. Men who would do anything to protect themselves. Kill, cheat, destroy. They were after her. After Emma. Her heart raced. And you just let everyone think she was dead. I had to protect her, Ethan said, his voice breaking. And you? He looked down at his hands, shaking. If I married you that day, they would have used you as leverage. I couldn't let that happen. I left because I loved you too much to put you in danger. Olivia felt tears welling up. Anger, betrayal, relief. They collided inside her like a storm. So, all those nights, all those lies, it wasn't because you didn't love me? He shook his head. No. I distanced myself because I had to. Emma needed protection. Lydia needed to stay hidden. And you were the one thing I couldn't risk. Olivia's gaze fell to the letters again, then back at Ethan. And Emma, she called me Mom because she's young, he said quietly. She remembers Lydia, and she sees you in her. You remind her of her mother. The resemblance is uncanny. She clings to you, and in some ways, she thinks she's found her mom. But it's not wrong, Olivia. It's real for her. And I couldn't explain any of it without putting all of you at risk. Olivia swallowed hard, her chest tightening. She wanted to scream, to cry, to punch the table. Instead, she whispered, Lydia, she's alive? Yes, Ethan admitted. His eyes were haunted. She's been in hiding, staying safe, while I tried to dismantle the corruption from the inside. She asked me to keep Emma hidden until it was safe. And I had to keep my distance from you too. The cafe felt suddenly too small. Olivia's head spun. She wanted to be angry, but she couldn't. There was too much love tangled with fear, Too much sacrifice hidden behind the betrayal. I don't know what to feel, she admitted, voice trembling. Hurt, relief, confusion. Ethan reached across the table, but stopped midway. I didn't deserve your forgiveness, he said softly. I only did what I thought was right, to keep everyone alive. Olivia took a deep breath, fighting to steady her voice. Then, Lydia is alive. Somewhere close. Yes, Ethan whispered. She's closer than you think. And soon you'll meet her. But it has to be the right time. I can't risk anything for her. Not yet. Olivia nodded, feeling the weight of the revelation settle around her like a heavy cloak. Ethan's betrayal had been cruel on the surface, but beneath it, it had been love. Tears blurred her vision. She realized the heartbreak at the altar was not just loss, it had been protection, hidden in layers of fear and secrecy. And somewhere, out there, Lydia was waiting. Somewhere, the truth was waiting to be fully uncovered. Olivia whispered to herself, almost a prayer. Show me the way, Lydia. I need to know. It was a quiet, stormy afternoon when Olivia's phone rang. The voice on the other end was frantic. Miss Bennett, it's Emma. She's been rushed to the hospital. There's a complication. We need DNA information immediately for compatibility. Olivia's chest tightened. Panic surged through her veins. She barely registered the ride to the hospital, barely noticed the cold Seattle rain lashing against the car windows. In the sterile, white-walled hospital room, Olivia watched as doctors prepared the tests. Ethan stood beside her, tense, silent, but his eyes carried the same worry that had always haunted her. Emma lay in the small hospital bed, her tiny chest rising and falling, fragile yet fighting. Olivia, we just need a blood sample for the transfusion, the nurse said gently. Without hesitation, Olivia rolled up her sleeve. Her heart pounded. She gave the sample, gripping the edge of the table as if her entire world depended on it, because in truth it did. The waiting was unbearable. Minutes dragged into hours. And then, finally, a doctor returned. Miss Bennett, we've run the tests. I think you need to sit down. Olivia's knees weakened. She sank into the nearest chair, eyes fixed on the tiny form of Emma. The doctor spoke slowly, carefully. The results indicate that Emma is your biological daughter. Time froze. Olivia stared. Her mind could not compute. Her lips trembled. That's impossible. I was told. Ethan knelt beside her, his face pale. Olivia, there was a mistake. Years ago, after your car accident, you gave birth prematurely. The hospital told you the baby didn't survive, but they were wrong. They switched the babies. Olivia's vision blurred. Her past, the accident, the loss, the heartbreak at the altar. It all came crashing down at once. She could feel her heart breaking and mending at the same time. A chaotic, unbearable truth. Lydia raised Emma, thinking she was an abandoned child. Ethan continued, his voice trembling. I stepped in later to protect both of you from the corruption, from the people who would have hurt her, and to make sure she survived. That's why I called off the wedding. That's why I lied. I only wanted to protect you and her. Olivia's tears fell freely. She covered her face with shaking hands, sobbing quietly. Every humiliation she endured at the altar, every whispered rumor, every headline calling her the dumped bride. Now it made sense. Emma stirred and opened her hazel eyes, looking up at Olivia. For the first time, a smile flickered across the child's face. Mom, she whispered, her voice faint, uncertain. Olivia dropped to her knees beside the hospital bed, wrapping her arms around Emma, holding her tightly, as if never to let go. Yes, baby, Olivia said through tears. It's me. I'm here. I'm your mom. Ethan stood silently behind them, watching the reunion, his own tears glistening in the hospital lights. The weight of secrecy, fear, and sacrifice hung heavy in the room, but now it felt like redemption, a long, hard-earned peace. Olivia traced Emma's small fingers, staring at her own daughter as if seeing her for the first time. Her heart was overflowing with relief, love, and forgiveness for Ethan, for herself, for the life that had been stolen and then returned. The storm outside had passed, but the emotional tempest inside Olivia was finally giving way to clarity. The girl who had called her mom in the park weeks ago had been right all along. And in that quiet hospital room, amidst tears and whispered promises, everything fell into place. Olivia's heartbreak, humiliation, and suffering had led her to this, her daughter alive, in her arms, and the truth finally revealed. The morning sun spilled golden light across the quiet streets of Seattle. Olivia stood by the window of her new apartment, watching the city wake, the air fresh and crisp. Beside her, Emma laughed softly, chasing a small butterfly in the garden they had just started cultivating. Then, a gentle knock at the door broke the moment. Olivia opened it to find Lydia Harper, alive and real, though her eyes held the scars of the past and the weight of secrets carried too long. "Olivia," Lydia said softly, her voice shaking with gratitude. "Thank you for finding the truth, for helping me protect Emma, for bringing the men who hurt us to justice." Olivia stepped forward, embracing her. "We didn't do it alone. We did it together." Lydia smiled, small but genuine, her hands trembling as she touched Emma's hair. "You've given her a life she deserves, a family." Ethan approached quietly, standing behind Olivia, his expression humbled. The man who once commanded boardrooms now seemed smaller, human, a father, protector, and repentant soul. "I resigned," he said softly. "I needed to put family first, not power. I need to rebuild trust, and I want to be there for both of you." Olivia looked at him, pain and forgiveness swirling in her eyes. Slowly, she nodded. Years of anger and confusion began to dissolve into understanding. Love, she realized, often hides behind sacrifice. Difficult, painful, but real. Emma ran toward them, laughing, her little arms outstretched. She clung to Olivia first, then Lydia, then looked at Ethan. And in her innocent eyes, there was clarity, belonging, and joy. Together, they watched Emma play in the same park where their journey had begun, the park where she first called Olivia Mom. Olivia held Ethan's hand loosely, feeling the warmth of reconciliation, the strength of love that had endured fear, deception, and heartbreak. She whispered, almost to herself, "Sometimes the people who break your heart are the same ones who save your life. You just don't see it until the truth finds you." The breeze carried Emma's laughter across the park. Olivia closed her eyes, breathing in the moment, the quiet, the peace, the family she never thought she would have. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow over the city, the camera pans out. Ethan and Olivia stand side by side, Lydia nearby, and Emma dancing freely between them. A perfect, fragile circle of love and protection.